We come together with open hands, open hearts, and open minds to worship God, who calls us to love one another. In myth and legend, the cockerel is the bird that heralds the dawn with its crowing, and it dispels all those evil creatures of night, all the spirits of the darkness that are lurking around. Well, they run at the very sound of the cockerel crowing. The light of the day dispels the darkness, and the cockerel heralds that day. Veneration of the rooster in East Asia is particularly widespread, and it's associated with Japan and China, and it's entrenched in the Chinese zodiac as the 12th of the animal symbols. Many churches here too have a rooster, the weather vane, on the top of their steeple. It's true for both Protestant and Catholic churches. For many Catholic churches, the symbolism is for St. Peter, the first pope. And it's common to see carved roosters on the top of wooden churches in Norway and further afield. But in our story today, the rooster has a different role. God of the cockerel, thank you for waking us up this morning. We give thanks that you continue to bless us throughout the day. We give thanks that you protect us from things both seen and unseen. We give thanks that you guide us to walk your path. Wake us up, Lord. Wake us up to see your blessings in the world. Wake us up to see your face in the people that we meet. Wake us up to see injustice and need as well. Wake us up, Lord. Amen.
When Jesus was on trial, in the days leading to his death, Peter found himself in a courtyard of the high priest, warming himself by a charcoal burner, alongside some of the guards who had arrested Jesus. Up came a servant girl, hearing his voice. "You're a Galilean. You must be one of Jesus' followers." "No," said Peter, "I don't know the man." And then the cockerel crowed, and Peter wept. The cockerel merely marks the passage of time, an early form of alarm clock. But Jesus' prophecy loads the crowing on that morning with significance. For it represents the moment when Peter comes to his senses and realizes his weakness, the weakness that Jesus has seen in him and forgiven long ago. There are times when enlightenment comes suddenly, as a rush of gladness and understanding. But there are moments, for all of us, when in a flash of horror we are confronted with our inadequacy. The cockerel is a reminder of our struggles, the aspects of ourselves, our identities, thoughts, words, and actions that we prefer to smother with layers of bravado, fine words, and egotistical self-justification. It exists, and we are loved. The cockerel, then, is a kind of internal alarm call, waking us to a self-truth that we might prefer to ignore.
Peter asked, "Lord, why can't I follow you now? I'll lay down my life for you." And Jesus answered, "Will you really lay down your life for me? Very truly I tell you, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. Jesus predicts that the rooster would crow, and that before the rooster crowed, Peter would deny him 3 times. It's a really powerful story. But I kind of have a question. Well, not a question, just an observation. Roosters crow. If you've ever been camping, glamping, caravanning, or just stayed in a B&B in the country, there's one thing that is inevitable. The cockerel is going to crow in the morning, really early, really repetitively, and really annoyingly. That rooster was going to crow whether Peter denied Jesus or not. It's what roosters do. We're told that it had been a nighttime trial. Morning was coming, and when morning comes, the cockerel crows. The cockerel is just representing guilt here. Guilt would have got Peter anyway. Guilt is our rooster. Wouldn't it be nice if we had some sort of warning signal before we said something or did something that we were going to feel guilty about? Wouldn't it be nice if we had some kind of warning signal before our foot was firmly planted in our mouth? I could certainly do with that. Wouldn't it be nice to know that we could hear the rooster before the rooster actually crowed? You know the feeling. That moment just after you've spoken where you do anything you could to stuff the words back in your mouth. I feel that so often. I wish I had an early warning rooster. We're overrun by warning signs these days. Warnings on medicine bottles, food labels, cigarette packets, weather warnings, flood warnings. We have traffic warnings. There's even warnings on cups of coffee from McDonald's that the coffee that you've just brought, the hot coffee that you've just brought is going to be hot. There's warnings everywhere. And of course, COVID warnings. Stay home, stay safe. Hands, face, space. Wash your hands, sanitize, 2 meters, put a mask on. Warnings are very much a part of life, and we appreciate them. Maybe not the hot coffee is hot, but most of them are there for a really good reason. Don't you wish that sometimes there was a little warning rooster light before you put your foot in your mouth? But would we pay attention? When the little rooster starts blinking, you're about to say something really, really dumb, Joe. Would we pay attention? Jesus warns Peter. Peter, let me tell you something. The rooster will not crow tomorrow morning until you've denied that you know me 3 times. Now, Peter's been around Jesus for a long time now, over 3 years. He's seen miracles. He's seen healings. He's seen demons dismissed. He's seen Jesus read people's minds, know what they're thinking. He's seen Jesus pronounce what's going to happen in the future. And then Christ says to him, before the cockerel crows, you will have denied me 3 times. And Peter goes, nah. I mean, if me, a city girl, knows that a rooster is going to crow in the morning, Peter, well, he wasn't paying attention, was he? What if Peter had listened? What if he paid attention to the little rooster warning light? What if Peter had recognised the peril? What if he'd avoided all the places where he might get challenged about whether he knew Christ? We can try and take an invisible rooster with us everywhere we go. We can try and avoid those situations where we might put our foot firmly in our mouth. But maybe it's just as inevitable as a cockerel crowing at dawn that we will eventually say the wrong thing. But the thing is, for us and for Peter back then, it's okay. Just like Peter, we will come to our senses. We will realise our weakness. Maybe it'll be a cockerel, maybe it'll be something else, but something will bring it home to us that we've done wrong. But the thing is, Jesus has already seen that weakness, that fallibility, that humanity in us. And Jesus has long ago forgiven us. The cockerel is a reminder of things that we would perhaps prefer to ignore. But it's also a reminder that we are loved. God of justice, peace, and righteousness, come into our midst today. Breathe your breath, your spirit of prophecy, your energy, your enlivening, your imagination on us. Wake us from dreaming of a better world and set us to creating one. Wake us from dreaming of peace and set us to work on it. May your cock crow remind us that we are called to serve you. Wake us up to self-truth, open our eyes, unplug our ears, that we might hear, that we might see, and that we might grieve, that we might dream, and that we may follow the ways of your extraordinary kingdom. Amen. We go out into a new week with open hands, open hearts, and open minds. We go out into the new week with the blessing of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Amen.